We're going to be talking about mastering estimate view tips and tricks for success. I'm very excited to have Casey Wilt. He's our sales engineer here at Beck Technology and a whiz at Estimator. And I am going to pass this over to Casey so that we can get started. Casey, take it away. Hey, Casey, you might be on mute, just to let you know.
There we go. I think we both hit it at the same time. Good morning, everyone. As Julie said, my name is Casey Wilt. I'm a senior sales engineer here at Beck Technology. Spent the last 8 years on the implementation side of the business, so excited to bring a lot of that experience to bear in what we talk about this morning. So today's webinar, we are focusing on the estimate view, how to kind of make master level use of this piece of the program, which is super powerful. There's a few different things from a definition perspective we're going to take advantage of this morning. The first, when we talk about estimate layouts, that is the order, visibility, grouping, and sorting of columns of information in the estimate view. Those are things that are created in your estimate template as part of your standard operating procedure for your organization. The guts of those layouts is really driven by what we call WBS properties, work breakdown structure properties. Those are industry standard things like master format, uniformat, 16 division CSI, internal proprietary sorting like accounting codes, bid packages, or anything else your organization uses, as well as estimate specific breakouts like building, project phase, floor number, department, etc. We'll also be taking advantage of the filter tree in conjunction with the estimate view to isolate scope based on what we're trying to accomplish. What I have shown on the screen right now is a very basic layout, but the core elements of line items: item number, description, quantity, unit cost, and aggregate cost. This might make sense for a ROM or a conceptual estimate, but as soon as you get into a more robust project, you're going to want some context with your items. As I flip to my next layout, you and your organization probably have a few different versions of this type of layout: the basic definition of items with some grouping by a specified WBS property with some aggregate cost overlines. This type of layout, nice and organized, gives context. It plays nicely with formatted reporting. As Julie mentioned, the May webinar will focus on some of that estimate view reporting. And this also is nice for internal and external review live in the program. You can also take advantage of not just those industry standard breakouts, but also your estimate specific breakouts like system or any other location breakout you may put into play. In this case, system and 2 levels of uniformat. Same estimate, flip of a switch, different approach. This layout also introduces a couple of columns in the estimate view: unit reference and cost per unit. This unit reference is actually any of those numeric project properties you carry, so that you can look at the aggregate cost of a line item as a dollars per analysis, the given project property value. Your filter tree can play in conjunction with this. So if I set up a similar layout and I only want to see my site work, by filtering to site work in the same layout, I'm only looking at that subset of the estimate. If you'd like to get a little bit more granular in your cost per analysis, you can do things like setting up your layout to work off of project properties as overline quantities. So site work as site acres, general requirements as your construction duration, or any given specific line item quantity, like on form work, you can right click and say contributes to quantity. This in particular is what the May webinar will focus on. If you're looking at performance metrics or your cost of your estimate against certain quantities that you'd like to track at a high level, without leaving the estimate view, you could create a simple 1-level layout like master format level 1, right click and full collapse. And now I'm looking at my estimate general requirements by construction duration, which is 12 months, dollars per month, my core building elements by total building area, and my site elements by site acres. You could take this a level further. If you went by location breakout and then by a WBS property, again, fully collapsing the view, Building 1 is, so many dollars per its square footage, but inside of building 1, let's look at the cost of A foundations against building 1's footprint, the exterior enclosure against the skin area, the roof against the roof area, right? Making those things a little bit more specific to each unique building that's in play. The way this is accomplished is simply through some sort of area study in your project view. Just for context where those come from, we have our totals for building area and skin area, but I've also broken those out based on quantities from my takeoff by building 1 and by building 2. After doing some quantitative analysis, other workflows that the estimate view can accomplish for you is using something like a custom WBS called number source. I have also created a paired filter on the same WBS property. So this is a custom WBS that exists in my estimate that maybe the default is from database, right? And really that's my way of saying I have my standard price in here. I might switch the value to validated once I've called the market and confirmed that this is still an accurate number, but I might have line items where I'm carrying a plug. Using the filter on the same WBS property, I can isolate those items whose value is plug number, and this will allow me to look at those items where I've just keyed in an aggregate cost. The owner wants something unique. We're waiting on a number back, but based on what we've done in the past, this is kind of a good placeholder. Or we were given a huge range, we're waiting on numbers back, we'll just pick the middle of the range. So this is something we want to firm up before submitting the estimate. Beyond just number source, perhaps there are other things about a line item where you'd like to escalate this to a more senior member of the team, or you as the most senior member want to mark an item that needs further discussion. It doesn't feel right in the estimate. Another custom WBS can be used. In this case, I've created a true-false WBS, which gives us a checkbox. And in this case, it is called needs review. So if an item needs review, I check the box. I can filter on true, which means the box has been checked. And in this case, we've got some showers. We've put in a placeholder based on what we usually do, but there are some specific brand guidelines in play that have not been shared with us. So we definitely want to have a further discussion, not just confirming the price. The other thing that this line item shows is that there's a green light that turns on when this box is checked. That is via what we call highlight rules, where you can use certain characteristics of a line item to turn on and off colors on those row headers if it meets a criteria. So if the quantity is 0, make it orange. If the cost is 0, make it red. If it needs review, meaning the box is checked, turn it green. Maybe it's the inverse, right? When it's not checked, you get the green light, the line item is good. When I click OK, by changing the rule, and I go back to all items, you'll see that the rest of the estimate now has the green light to proceed. So flavor preference, but just different ways to use those highlight rules depending on the conditions that you'd like to have in play. In the fee table in Estimator, we have the ability to distribute fees onto specific sets of items in the estimate view. In this layout, what I'm doing is I would like to confirm the impact of a distributed fee. There are columns in the column chooser available via the right-click context menu on a column header that allow me to pull out these burdened columns. In this case, I have burdened unit cost and total. And in my fee table, I've created a contingency on division 3. It's a custom fee based on master format 1 equals division 3 concrete. And I'm distributing it or allocating it onto the same items. So to verify that that's happening, I could filter to division 3. And if we look at this foundation insulation line item, the original unit cost was $3 and the burdened unit cost is $3.30. That confirms that 10% is now in play. You're not limited to just unit cost in Estimator. You can also expand that to use all 5 cost categories. So all of the exercises shown above, by system, by master format, whatever, can also be repeated with multiple cost categories in play. Labor, material, equipment, sub, and other add up to our total unit cost. If you like estimating across multiple cost categories, it is likely that you would want to see those category totals as well. So switching to the next layout shows me labor, total labor, material, total material, all the way across the board. This also highlights that you can change the text color on a column and the ability to freeze pane on a specific column, so that as you scroll into a wider set of data, you don't lose context of the original line items. If you want to do distribution check on all of your cost categories, if that's the way you estimate, you can pull out burdened columns for every single cost category, and this also showcases that you can change the background color of a column. Some groups like to make every column related to labor one color, everything related to material another. Totally up to you, but just other options to sort of break up the information to give you a little bit more of a key at what you're looking at. Last but certainly not least, a lot of groups using DESTINI Estimator will price some or all of their estimates as though they're going to self-perform the work. Now, whether you actually do the work is irrelevant, but if you price things using crews and productivity, a layout like labor analysis would come in really handy. Labor analysis is our check on which crew is assigned, what productivity are they carrying. It could be by the crew or on a man-hour basis. And I have a filter paired with this that I've also named labor analysis. That is my ability to filter on the different rate tables in use in my project. So if I filter to Texas 2024, I'm only going to see the line items in the estimate who are in that rate table. So here's my salary supervision. And if I scroll down in the detail section a little bit lower, I can see my concrete placement with a crew on it, its productivity, man hours, and unit costs associated. So this is burrowing into what was originally one column into many, right? Labor unit cost into all of the background. And when I'm complete with that detailed exercise, I can always just flip back to a simple sort of home-based layout for broader discussion with the greater estimating team. So Julie, that's what I had to show this morning. I was curious, as we have a couple minutes left, what kind of questions may have come in.
Yeah, so I do want to remind everyone, if you do have a question, please send it in. If we're not able to get to it, I will make sure that our team follows up with you to get it answered. One of the questions I did have come in, Casey, is for the different estimate views that you showed today, do those automatically come in Estimator, or those are built as someone implements the software?
Sure. So estimate layouts are created in your estimate templates, typically during implementation. That said, if you and your organization are post-implementation and you find yourself creating a layout on a regular basis that you like, what we'd suggest doing is opening up your estimate template and editing it, creating that layout, and then that layout is then available for projects moving forward. A layout created in a project should be available to other people in the project as well.